Today I'm going to be reading a book from National Geographic Kids called Book of Animals, and it's written by Catherine D. Hughes. Just based off an internet search and some similar texts, I gathered that this book will probably be within the kindergarten through third grade range, and the Lexile might be around 490. I couldn't find the exact one for this book, so I based it off very similar books. The genre is nonfiction. It is based on true things. This book will be about true facts on animals. And so I'm going to take a quick picture walk with you. This is the cover. Let me start with the cover. There's a really cute animal. I believe it's a seal, but I'm sure we'll learn about it in the book. And so that's definitely an attention grabber. It makes me want to read this book. Some more animals. We've got some facts over here. And lots of pictures, and it seems to me like every page will probably have some facts, and a bit about the animal, and definitely pictures of the animal. And while I'm doing this picture walk, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I've seen these animals before. You might have seen them at the zoo. You might have traveled somewhere where you can see these animals, and they might be around where you live. All right, so we did our picture walk, and I think you're really going to enjoy this book because it features animals that you may find at the zoo. And if you have never been to the zoo, these might be some animals that you would see at a zoo. And this book shares real facts, which is really interesting. So here we go. Let's get started. Book of Animals by Catherine D. Hughes. Lion. Lions live in prides. Lions are the only wild cats that live in family groups called prides. Lion cubs have many playmates in their pride. I can see that there's a lot of playmates by this picture. A playful lion cub finds toys easily. Even a stick becomes a toy. That reminds me a lot of my dog. I have a dog that plays with sticks out in my yard and always finds things to play with. And so you might have a pet at home that does the same thing. Here's a little fact up here. Lions often hunt together in a group. Facts. It is a mammal. They live in parts of Africa and a small area in India. They weigh about as much as 1 or 2 men. Wow, think about any men that you know, and think about 2 of them. That's how big a lion can get. They eat gazelles, zebras, hares, and other animals. And hares are rabbits. Sounds they make. They roar, they purr, they snarl, and they hiss. And they can have 3 to 5 babies at a time. Black-handed spider monkey. Monkeys are at home in the trees, and we can see that by the pictures. Black-handed spider monkeys are acrobats. They swing from branch to branch. Sometimes they leap to the next tree. Black-handed spider monkeys rarely come out of treetops. So this tells us that black-handed spider monkeys, they mostly live in the trees, and that's where you could find them. When a baby black-handed spider monkey is 1 year old, it can climb by itself. Think about human babies. Can they climb trees by themselves? Can they walk by themselves? Compare that to a 1-year-old black-handed spider monkey who can climb trees by itself. Some facts are they are mammals. They live in Mexico to northern South America. They weigh about the same as a 6-month-old baby. They eat mostly fruit, leaves, and also nuts, flowers, and insects. They make a whiny barking sound, and they usually have one baby at a time. So that's typically like humans. Usually, humans have one baby at a time, but sometimes there could be more. Humpback whale. I know I've heard a lot about this before. Let's read about it. Humpbacks do not have teeth. There are many kinds of whales. Some have teeth, others do not. The humpback whale has baleen instead of teeth. Baleen hangs from the whale's upper jaw. So here, this picture is zoomed in to the whale's head. And we can see that up here, this is the upper jaw of the humpback whale. And this is what the baleen looks like. And so instead of teeth, like many other animals have, and like we have, they have something called baleen. Whales come to the surface of the ocean to breathe. Humpback whales can hold their breath for up to 30 minutes. Male humpback whales sing. A whale's song can last 15 minutes. These are mammals. You can find them in oceans all over the world. They can be about as long as a big bus. Think about the bus that you take to school or the buses you see that bring kids to school. That's about how long a humpback whale can be. That's huge. They eat shrimp like krill and small fish, and they squeal, grunt, moan, and sounds too low for humans to hear. So they make sounds that even we can't hear. And they have one baby at a time. Arizona coral snake. Bright colors send a message. Let's figure what that means. A coral snake's bright colors warn, "I'm poisonous, so stay away." The colors remind predators or enemies that might attack to leave this kind of snake alone. So when animals see this color, they know, I better leave this snake alone. Arizona coral snakes are small and their teeth are very short. They use their poison mainly to kill small animals to eat, such as lizards and other snakes. When the snake bites another snake, poison flows through tubes in its fangs, 2 sharp teeth on its upper jaw, and into its prey. Arizona coral snakes are shy. They spend a lot of time under rocks and usually hunt at night. Some facts. Arizona coral snakes are reptiles. So this is different than the other animals we've learned about so far, because the other ones were mammals. You can find them in parts of Arizona, New Mexico, and northern Mexico. They can be almost as long as this open book is wide. So this is the open book that we're reading. They can be about this long. They eat other snakes and lizards, and the sounds they make sound like a pop. They also lay 2 or 3 eggs at a time. So this is also different than the animals we've learned about so far, because the snakes, they lay eggs. Have you ever seen a snake? I know I see snakes where I live sometimes in the gardens. Zebra. Stripes confuse enemies. A zebra looks like a horse with stripes. Every zebra's stripes are a little bit different. Zebras live in family groups called herds. It is important for a zebra family to stay together for protection. A baby zebra is called a foal. It can walk when it is only 20 minutes old. An hour after it is born, the foal can run. That's crazy. If you think about it, when we were babies and we were only 20 minutes old, we definitely couldn't walk. And an hour after we were born, we definitely couldn't run. Zebra stripes confuse animals that hunt them. The jumble of stripes makes it hard to see where one zebra ends and another begins. So they have stripes for a reason. Zebras sleep standing up. There are 3 species or kinds of zebras. Species also means different kinds. They are mammals. They live in parts of Africa. They can stand about as tall as a horse or a small horse. They mostly eat grass and some leaves and twigs. The sounds they make sound like bray, bark, or soft snort. And they have one baby at a time. How old were you when you learned to walk? Harp seal. The seal's coat changes color. And look, the title has the same animal, a harp seal. So now we know what that animal is. A mother harp seal takes good care of her baby. The baby is called a pup. At first, the pup doesn't look like mom. So this is a lot like how we call baby dogs. We call them puppies. And this baby seal is called a pup. A pup's fluffy white fur helps keep it warm on the ice where it is born. So its fluffy fur keeps it nice and warm because they live in a really cold environment. A harp seal can hold its breath underwater for 20 minutes. Then it comes to the surface to breathe. A harp seal pup may gain about 80 pounds in 12 days by drinking its mother's milk. So this baby pup, it might gain 80 pounds just by drinking its mom's milk in 12 days. These harp seals are mammals, and they live in the North Atlantic and Arctic oceans. They can weigh about as much as a big professional football player. So think about any professional football players that you've heard of, and that might be how big they are. They eat mostly fish, they grunt and bleat, and they have one baby at a time. Sea otter. Thick fur keeps otters warm. Sea otters are expert swimmers. Their thick, fluffy fur keeps them warm in cold ocean weather. Sea otters make sure their fur is very clean so that it will keep them warm. Otters spend hours every day cleaning themselves. So their fur has a lot to do with how they survive because it keeps them warm. And they also have to make sure they really clean themselves well so that their fur keeps them as warm as possible. Otters are mammals. They live in coastal areas of northern and eastern North Pacific Ocean. They weigh about as much as 2 4-year-olds. So think of a 4-year-old, and they weigh about as much as 2 of them. They eat sea animals such as sea urchins, crabs, snails, clams, and abalone. They coo, whine, whistle, and growl. And they usually have one baby at a time. When a sea otter dives, its ears and nose tight it their ears and nose close tightly to keep water out. Think about how you might plug your nose when you go into the water and close your eyes. Giraffe. Giraffes are the tallest land animals. A giraffe's legs are taller than most grown-up people. Its long neck adds even more to its height. So it's saying that these legs, a lot of grown-ups aren't even as tall as their legs. Giraffes eat leaves. Because they are so tall, giraffes can reach leaves growing high in trees. So their tall legs and their long necks help them to reach these leaves in the trees. They are mammals. They live in parts of Africa. They're about as tall as 3 men standing on each other's shoulders. They eat leaves, which we can see here. They hiss, bellow, whistle, grunt, snort, and bleat. So they make a lot of sounds. And usually they have 1 baby at a time, but sometimes they have 2. A giraffe protects itself from enemies by kicking. So that's how they defend themselves when things are trying to attack them. Here's the black and yellow garden spider. A garden spider builds a web. The garden spider builds a web to trap insects to eat. The web is made of spider silk. Spider silk is a sticky thread that is made inside the spider's body. So the spiders, they make this stuff that makes the web. It's called spider silk. The spider attaches silk threads to grasses or other plants. Then it stretches more silk, making a pattern in a circle. So that's how they get that circle pattern. The spider weaves a zigzag line in the web. That is where the spider usually waits for an insect to fly into the web and get stuck. That insect becomes the spider's supper, and supper also means dinner. So here you can see that this spider caught some dinner using its web. Baby spiders are called spiderlings. Female or girl black and yellow garden spiders build bigger webs than male or boy spiders. They are arachnids. They live in much of North America. They're about as big as the spider in the photo at the left. So it might be referring to this one. They eat flies, beetles, wasps, grasshoppers, and other flying insects. So that's good for us because they eat all those pesky insects that we don't like, or at least I don't like. They don't make any sounds, which is unlike all the other things we've learned about, all the other animals we've learned about so far. And they can have up to 1,400 eggs at a time. That's a lot more babies than other living things. Can you draw a spider web? Camel. Camels have humps. You probably know that camels have humps. Did you know that there are 2 species of camels? One has 2 humps. The other has 1 hump. So this one has 1 hump. And this one we can see has 2 humps. Bactrian camels have 2 humps. Dromedary camels have 1 hump. They're mammals. They live in Bactrian dry areas of Mongolia and China. And let me correct myself. The Bactrian lives in dry areas of Mongolia and China. And the dromedary live in dry areas of North Africa and the Middle East. They're a little taller than a very tall man. They eat many different kinds of plants. They moan, groan, bleat, bellow, roar, and rumble, and they usually have one baby at a time. The mountain gorilla. Gorillas live in groups called troops. A troop may have 30 gorillas. The biggest male is the leader of the family group, called a silverback. He has silver fur on his back. So the leader is called a silverback. There are often other male gorillas in the troop. Females and babies make up the rest of the family. These mountain gorillas are mammals. They live in 2 areas in Central Africa. Males are about as tall as a tall man, and females are about as tall as a short woman. So they're much like us with their size. They eat leaves, roots, shoots, fruits, wild celery, tree bark, and pulp, sometimes insects. They roar, grunt, bark, and hoot. And they have babies one at a time. And that's the end of this book. So I hope you enjoyed reading this book with me. And we can tell that the main idea or theme of this book is that animals have a lot in common. And there's a lot of different things about animals. Some animals have, like the spider. Let's go back to the spider really quick, if I can find it. Right here. I remember they have up to 1,400 eggs at a time. But like the other animals, and specifically the mountain gorilla, they only have one baby at a time. And animals live in many different habitats. We can tell they're all different. This is a very cold habitat. This is maybe more in the woods, in the ocean. So animals are very different from each other and similar to each other in different ways. Thanks for reading with me.